Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, Surreal Gerald Quinn. Episode 937, week 13 of the NFL season. Of course, we'll look back at that preview, also look ahead at week 14. And we're going to certainly do a lot of college football. There was a huge weekend for college football, fireworks on Sunday. We will deep dive that. But as always, we're going to begin. Well, themes, number one, begin with our themes. No Super Bowl rematch. We saw both Kansas City and Philadelphia fall in different fashions. Very, very unimpressive losses, to say the least. But not shocking. Neither one was shocking. Even the Green Bay Kansas City one was not shocking. So we'll talk more about that. But despite the fact that they did have a bye week, we're still going to have all the thoughts. Going to look ahead to the Buffalo Bills in their stretch run. Buffalo, of course, is at 6-6. They are 10th in a packed and loaded AFC conference. Now, last time Buffalo played, of course, they lost a heartbreaking one of the games of the year to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I thought that there were some great signs coming even in defeat that could possibly propel them to a late run to maybe make the playoffs. The division's over. Miami has a 3-game lead, even with the fact that Buffalo already beat them in Buffalo earlier this year. That's too many games to make up at this point. And Buffalo's schedule is way too hard. And Miami is not going to fall that hard. I don't see it. I can't see any way. Even Miami struggles down the stretch of Buffalo catching them to win the division. So Buffalo's only way into the playoffs is going to be through that last wild card. Again, they are still within striking distance. It's not the problem how many games they're behind. The problem is how many teams are ahead of them with winning records, and more importantly, how difficult their schedule is. I think realistically, they had the Chiefs and Cowboys coming up in the next couple of weeks. Still have, of course, at Miami. I think realistically, they have to go 4-1 to get to 10 wins. And I'm looking at let me pull up their schedule now, actually. So schedule. So remaining schedule: Chiefs, Cowboys, at Kansas City. They will host Dallas. Then they will be at the Chargers, host New England, and then finish at Miami. It is not an impossible schedule. It's not impossible. Anytime, of course, you have the Patriots, who are, a dead carcass on it, and the Chargers, who are, the most, inconsistent team in the league, and who have basically a lame duck head coach who knows he's going to get fired. So you want to put those two wins, cool. But the other two wins are going to be difficult to come from or to come by. I mean, again, at Kansas City is what it is, especially it's going to be an annoyed Kansas City team coming off a loss. Dallas is playing well. And then you talk about Miami. So, again, 4-1 is not out of the question. It's not it's not impossible for them to go 4-1. Would I bet on it? No. There's nothing that I've seen out this team this year that would tell me that they're going to finish down the stretch at 4-1. I would say guess likely 3-2, which would lead them at 9-8. And to be honest with you, in the AFC, I don't think 9-8 is making the playoffs. I just don't. Now, again, I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. I've seen crazier things happen, but I just don't. I think 9-8. I think you probably gonna have to be 10-7. The problem with Buffalo is not just the record as far as the 6-6. It's you start looking at these records and tiebreakers and those type of situations when you're dealing with the conference when you're dealing with playoff positioning. It is their conference record is bad. They're 3-5 in the conference, and you got Houston, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, all ahead of them. Not only with better records in the win-loss column at 7-5, but they also have better, superior conference records by 2 games. Like Indianapolis has 2 games. Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland are both 2 games better than Buffalo in terms of the conference record. Houston is 2 games in the loss column better than Buffalo in the conference in terms of the conference record. As a matter of fact, Buffalo, I apologize, they're not 10th, they're 11th. They actually trail Cincinnati. Like they actually trail Cincinnati by virtue of Cincinnati of the head-to-head, which supersedes the conference record. So in Denver again, they lost again. So they're not making the playoffs. Let me just stop this. They're not making the playoffs. They're tied with Denver, Cincinnati. Denver, Cincinnati beat them in the head-to-head. So it's like Buffalo, the 4-1 thing. Probably not going to happen. And again, they have a tall hill to climb in order to make the playoffs. To say at least, a tall hill to climb. So more likely it's not going to happen. But we know, if they can bottle up that Philly performance minus a few penalties, that who knows? See, again, I've seen crazy things happen in the NFL in December. December is literally probably the most unpredictable month in the NFL for the most part. Your certain teams are going to come up big. Back in the day, Indianapolis is the New England's, Green Bay's, those stalwart franchises. We have big Decembers, Pittsburgh as well. We have big Decembers. The rest of the league is basically a toss-up in December. Like you never know what's going to happen in December with the majority of the league. So we'll see what happens, but it's looking like it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Buffalo to get into what Bill Parcells used to call the tournament come January. Games of note. Let's go to Philadelphia first. So Philadelphia gets just their asses handed to them at home against San Francisco team, a well-rested San Francisco team, a healthy San Francisco team. Deebo Samuels and Trent Williams are both back. They only lost 1 game with those guys were healthy. They may even be undefeated when both those guys are healthy, but I know at least they've only lost 1 game. They were on that 3-game losing streak. 2 of those losses were without Deebo and Trent Williams. So with those guys healthy, San Francisco probably is the most complete, and not probably, they are the most complete team in football. It's just a matter of keeping those guys healthy. Is the case that's been challenging. As Trent Williams ages, Deebo Samuels in terms of his style of play, and of course, Christian McCaffrey in general. But listen, this game, I didn't see this coming as far as domination. I thought San Francisco would win the game. Philadelphia was coming to this game on borrowed time as far as all of these close games and these double-digit comebacks. At some point, that's going to catch up with you. You can't fall behind a quality team like San Francisco, who doesn't play, who runs the ball, and you're not going to get a lot of possessions against San Francisco. They have long drives. They're not really a quick scoring offense. They like to grind you down. They're kind of like death by 1,000 cuts. They like to cut you up and just physically pound you into submission. And they did that to Philly and then some. San Francisco at one point scored, like I said, on 6 straight possessions. And completely after the first quarter, just completely dominated this game. I mean, they outscored Philadelphia 42-13 after the first quarter. Philadelphia kicked a couple field goals to go up 6-0, and that was it. Like that basically, they scored a couple touchdowns. They didn't mean anything late in the game. And again, listen, you're going to point at Philadelphia fans are funny. I love Philadelphia fans, but because they're hilarious and they're crazy. Everybody's gonna play, play calling. That's the classic go-to for a fan. in football. Oh, the play calling, they ran too much, they do too much. Okay, sure. Like there have been times where Philadelphia has not run the ball enough. I don't think necessarily they completely trust their running game this year as in comparison to last year. The offensive line hasn't played as well as it did last year. Here's the bottom line: Philadelphia. Philadelphia's offensively, like they still put up points, and then in terms of yards and in terms of total yards and points scored, they're still top 10. Okay, which is where you want to be if you are a Super Bowl legitimate Super Bowl contender. If you're top 10 in those two categories, points allowed and points scored, excuse me, points scored and yards, you're fine offensively. The problem is defensively. Last year they were a legit top 3 defense. Okay, legitimately one of the best defenses in the league. This year they ranked 24th in points allowed and 23rd in yards. I watched the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell shred them twice, not once, but twice. Twice. Sam Howell put it on him. This is Sam Howell, decent player, but not exactly Patrick Mahomes here. So that defense has just not been good this year, and they find themselves having to win these shootouts. And again, you can win a couple. You can win a couple of those games, but you're not going to make a living, especially against defenses as good as San Francisco winning a shootout. It's just not going to happen. And they sign Shaq Leonard because their linebackers are horrible and they can't cover tight ends. They are horrible covering tight ends, and they're not good against a running back that can catch the ball out the backfield. Hence, Christian McCaffrey. So they, for a team that's 10-2, for a team that had a stretch of 25-4, now 25-5, there's some issues there with Philadelphia. Are they correctable? You don't have to have a top 5 defense to win a Super Bowl. If they can get their defense back into the top by the season ends by somewhere in the middle, in that 15-12 range, then we'll be talking about something. Or depending on how they're playing going into the playoffs, we might be singing a different tune here. But they will not forget about winning a Super Bowl. They won't get to the NFC Championship if their defense is playing like this. It's just not going to happen. Somebody's going to pick them off. The room for error for the offensive league is smaller, and if Jalen Hurts has an off day, which he's had a couple off days this year where he's been okay, and and they've been able to survive. Been able to survive on guile and just knowing how to win, but that defense right now is just not. They're not a championship level defense, not even close to that, and they're not going to get to. Like I said, forget about getting or winning a Super Bowl. They won't get to the conference championship playing the defense they waited, playing the style, this caliber defense. The good news is there are 5 games left. You're 10-2. You still have everything in front of you. You still have, again, in prime position to be the number 1 seed and get a bye week in the division. But things have gotten a lot tighter than what I thought they would be about a month ago. And now, again, we'll talk about the game of the week, which possibly could be the game of the year in our week 14 preview. But, Dallas is coming. That's all there is to it. Dallas is absolutely coming. No two ways about it. As far as, again, San Francisco, like I said earlier, San Francisco has outscored Dallas and Philadelphia 84-29. That's all you need to know about how dominant this team could be when they are healthy and focused. And like I said, their upside is they have the biggest upside of any team in the league. Like their A game is better than anybody else's A game, period. Offensively, defensively, play calling. There are really no just outrageous weaknesses that they have. Everybody, all these teams are flawed in some way, shape, or form. But when they're healthy, that team is almost impossible to deal with from a physical standpoint. And again, with Kyle Shanahan, how innovative the play calling can be, and now again, here's the thing: those guys have to stay healthy. Like Obviously, Purdy, the quarterback, that goes without saying. But Hubo, Trent Williams, and Chris McCaffrey all must be on the field in order for San Francisco to win a Super Bowl. Because the goal is not for the NFC Championship. The goal is not for them to get to Super Bowl. The goal they've done that. The goal is to win. Period. It's like Super Bowl or bust for San Francisco. We know that. We knew that coming into this season. So all three of those guys have to be healthy, and we'll see with Brock Purdy. We'll see. Like he won the playoff game last year, got hurt in the NFC Championship, so we didn't see what that would have turned out. But he's still a young quarterback who, he has not been through this before as far as leading the team to a Super Bowl championship, to a Super Bowl title. Hasn't been through the gauntlet or those playoff battles, period. He's still a young guy. So there's still a lot. He still has a lot to prove from that standpoint. Denver comes back down to earth after a 5-game winning streak. We talk about CJ Stroud, as well as we should, for Houston, how phenomenal he's been, having one of the great rookie quarterback seasons in recent memory. But the Houston defense has played extremely well in the last couple of weeks. Well, especially in particular this game, maybe not so much against Jackson, especially in this game, maybe not so much against Jacksonville, but in this game, Houston's defense, in essence, saved the day. Now, CJ Stroud, I don't know why I keep saying CJ Stroud had a big day. Efficiency didn't make, and the thing you like about it is he does not make the big mistake. Like he's not going to make a mistake that costs you a game. And for a young quarterback, that is almost impossible to do. The Houston defense holds Denver under 300 yards. Of course, Russell Wilson has probably without question the worst game of his season. And Houston gets a big win for them, coming off a loss against Jacksonville previous week. And you're looking at their schedule. That schedule is it's not a hard schedule. They got the Jets, Titans, Browns, who don't have a quarterback, Titans again, and they end the season with the Colts. I mean, that is a very, to me, favorable schedule. They could easily go 4-1. I could easily see them going 4-1. I don't think any worse than 3. I definitely think baseline 3-2, and at 7-5, that probably 3-2 will probably get them in the playoffs at 10-7. So that team has, continues to play well. That was a huge win for them against a Denver team that was playing well and had one of the longest winning streaks in the league. But again, Denver. Listen, Denver is at 6-6. Denver is probably what they should be. Like they weren't as bad as they started out. Like as far as the talent goes, but they certainly is not as good as a team to win 5 straight and to be considered any type of contender. So they're right. They're basically probably at 8-9, 9-18, maybe even 7-10 possibly when it's said and done. But they're like, I don't like that winning streak did not fool me at all. Like you acknowledged it, cool. They got the season finally started for them. Okay, that's nice, but I never was buying the Denver Kool-Aid as far as, Denver, Denver might be a contender now, or watch out, they could be dangerous. No. We've seen teams do this mid-season, start out horrible, get hot a little bit, and it kind of brings some false, kind of brings some chatter that, team might be actually better than they are. We know Denver's not a very good team. So, I think that, I don't think Denver will make the playoffs. But again, Houston, obviously, they absolutely control their destiny. And they, probably, I would guess, they probably will make the playoffs. Before we get to the game of the week, another game of note we talked about a little bit earlier with the teams, but Kansas City falling to Green Bay 27-19. It's a game. You give Green Bay credit. Green Bay now they are in the midst of the playoff race. Jordan Love has gotten hot. Just this has been a typical performance for Kansas City in the sense that, with the exception that the defense actually for the first time did not play well whatsoever in this particular game against a average to mediocre Green Bay offense. But offensively, this has been Kansas City for basically the entire year. This is their fifth game under 20 points. And keep this in mind, Kansas City is 8-4 right now. Kansas City is 8-4. So they played 12 games. Almost half their games, they've been under 20 points. The last 3 seasons, matter of fact, no, previous 5 seasons, they had 5 games combined. They had 5 games under 20 points. So let's put that in perspective. Previous 5 seasons. That's how that is the state of their offense right now. It is I guess you to say, it's an average to mediocre offense right now, and that's what the greatest quarterback of this, the greatest quarterback right now playing the game today, and within a future Hall of Fame tight end. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame tight end, all time greats, both of them, with an above average offensive line, I might add. That's how bad the receivers have been. Think about it. You have a historically talented quarterback, an all-time great tight end, and an above-average offensive line, if not one of the better offensive lines in the league, and you can't score any points. You can't. And again, this is who Kansas City has been. It's no longer. It's not just. It's who they are right now. This is not a very good offensive team. They don't scare you offensively anymore. I never thought I would say that with a Patrick Mahomes in his prime. I never thought that I would say that ever. But they just don't at this point. And again, Green Bay's defense is not the 85 Bears. And Green Bay has all types of injuries with their defense right now. Some of their best players are hurt defensively, off a defense that really wasn't that good to begin with coming into the season. So for Green Bay to hold them to 19 points just let you know their current state of the Kansas City offense. Game of the week. I'm not even calling this a great game. It's more indicative. It was a game of the week because there wasn't a lot to choose from as far as top games and close games that were somewhat compelling, to be honest with you. But this was an entertaining game. I mean, you get 80 with Dallas taking out Seattle 41-35. You get 86 points. Neither defense could do anything with the offenses. This was completely dominated by both offenses. The problem with this game is 19 penalties for 257 yards between the two teams. And I'm watching it, and it's one of those games where you think, and I'm not big on conspiracy theories or gambling, but it looked like one of those games where the fix looked like it could have been in. If you were a casual fan watching, and if you're a casual football fan, right? You sat down and watched that, you would say to a person that you're watching, that you're sitting next to, who's a great NFL fan, yo, is this what is Vegas involved with this? You would literally question, you would absolutely question the integrity of this particular game. It's how bad the officiating was both ways, especially some of the calls against Seattle. It's really, this is what it was like. I'm telling you, it was like that the scene in the Titans when they were cheating, and then Yost was like, "I'll have all you thrown in jail." Like that. That's how bad the officiating was. It was hard on both sides. Like I said, one team had 10 penalties, the other team had 9 penalties. So it definitely wasn't a one-sided whistle. But Seattle probably should have won the game. They did whatever they wanted to against Dallas's defense. But again, Seattle lately has found ways to lose games. They're in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. And Dallas did they frankly what they had to do to win. And now Dallas will be primed and poised to to play Philadelphia at home and with first place, possibly first place on the line. I gotta check the standings to see if it's actually on the line because I think the Philly's conference record might be superior to where they don't lose first place, even if they do lose. No, so even Philly loses, they'll still be in first place because they'll have a superior conference record, and they would have split the division, the series. Dallas would be 4-1, Philly would be 3-1. But I think head-to-head conference, I believe Dallas would have it because of the division record. But the head-to-head is split. So it's division in conference if there's a tie. So, yeah, so Dallas would be in first place, actually, because they would be 4-1 in the division. Philly would drop to 3-1 in the division. So, actually, Dallas would be in first place. So, in essence, first place would be on the line in that game. We'll talk more about that game later on. Listen, I'm going to say something. Speaking of Dallas, I'm going to say something that no one, if you hate Dallas like I do, I'm going to say something that no one is going to like. And listen, as somebody who's rooted for the Commanders, as someone who's had to watch Dallas win 3 Super Bowls and dominate the 90s, someone who just absolutely detests Dallas, listen, this program is only good. This podcast is only good if I can say if I maintain a level of objectivity, even when I don't want to. But the bottom line is, Dallas is number one. They are legit. They are a legit Super Bowl contending team. And if any year Dallas would get to the Super Bowl, the way it's setting up, it would be this year. Like if they can't do it this year, then it's never going to happen with this current regime as far as Dak Prescott, their core players. It's just not. Because if you look at the landscape of the NFL right now, number one, the quarterbacking has been like bad. Like we're talking about, and we'll get into the NFL MVP race, but Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are like the leading candidates to be are the biggest favorites to be co-favorites to be NFL MVP. Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy. Okay, so quarterbacking this year in the NFL has been trash. You have that, and part of the reason why it's been trash because either guys have underperformance, injuries, and also underperformance and injuries. So if you take that when you lower the level of play from the quarterback position, that brings everybody closer. That brings that makes teams that may have not been a contender, maybe possibly a contender, or that widens the list of teams that possibly challenge or win a Super Bowl. Because more times than not, you're not winning a Super Bowl without a top quarterback. And you look at the NFL right now, I said this at the top of the show, top of the podcast, Super Bowl, no Super Bowl rematch. Neither one of those quarterbacks are playing as well as they did last year. It Hurts and Mahomes. They're just not. They're not. Okay. Joe Burrow is done for the season. Aaron Rodgers done for the season. Lamar Jackson has cooled off. Tua Tagovailoa is like ice cold. Like the numbers that he was on pace to put up versus what he has, you would not have thought that Miami's offense was on a record-setting pace earlier in the season. That's how quickly things can change in the NFL. That's why I said it's always 4 to 5 twists and turns in the NFL season. That Miami offense does not look like it once did. Now again, we know Miami's deal. They don't do it against quality teams, but there's been so many bad quarterbacks in this season. And the NFC, you have two teams: is Philadelphia, San Francisco. Philadelphia's not playing well. San Francisco, like I said, is an injury away, literally an injury away from one of their top guys of not being the same team. So look, there's no dominant. Like the AFC right now is, you know, like I said, that Burrow injury changed a lot of things. Like Joe Burrow, and there were people who said Cincinnati wasn't probably going to make the playoffs anyway. I completely disagree. I think Cincinnati would have made the playoffs. It would have been, hell to deal with in the playoffs because of that dude and the experience and knowing how to win. Again, Josh Allen came in top 5 quarterback, certainly has not played that well. So there's been the guys who we thought were top guys coming in who have significantly underachieved, underperformed. And again, that brings everybody into the mix. That just again widens the amount of teams who can actually possibly do some damage. And I say that to say that you get like Dallas has a legit top defense. Their quarterback is, playing very well. So again, do I trust Dallas? Absolutely not. Do I coffee? No. Would I bet on it? Absolutely not. In terms of it happening, absolutely no. Do I believe it's going to happen? No. But you gotta be fair about it and say and to say it's not out of the realms of a possibility. It's not out of the realms of possibility that it could happen. Like it's not crazy to say that the Dallas Cowboys will be playing in February. It's not outrageous to say that. No, it's still I still don't care for the Dallas Cowboys fans. I can't take them, but they have a shot. They do. I just gotta be honest with you. They have a shot. Wouldn't bet on them? No, but there have been years in the past years. I'd be like, nah, they ain't got no chance. I don't care how well they were playing or how good they were looking on the regular season. Like, nah, they really don't have a chance. The league has come down, and again, it would take this type of year to where you don't have to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Like, the Flacco got hot in the playoffs, and they had a veteran defense, and Baltimore won the Super Bowl 2012. Minus that, you got to have normally a top guy, top guy to win a Super Bowl. You got to have Brady, you got to have a Holmes, that level of player in order to win the Super Bowl. Again, the Rams were the exception a couple of years ago. They had, talking about they had all-world talent across the board at various positions, like all-world defensive player, just great personnel that all Matthew Stafford had to do was just be a little bit better than Jared Goff. And we know they mortgaged their future for all these veteran, high-priced free agents and what have you. So they're the exception in the modern in the last 10 years. But normally you got to Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers has one Super Bowl. You got to have that level of guy. Breeze has a Super Bowl. You got to have a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback normally to make that jump to the Super Bowl, to a Super Bowl level. Again, I'm not sure this year that you have to have that guy the way this season is looking. I'm not sure that's absolutely a must because two of the hotter teams, San Francisco, Dallas, and San Francisco, they don't have a guy like that. Those teams like Purdy and Prescott are unproven in the postseason. Prescott has been bad. We still haven't seen enough. The body of work for Purdy is too small to judge him in postseason. It's like basically one game. So if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, if you're a Dallas Cowboys hater, then you things are like if you hate the Cowboys, then you have to come to the realization that this possibly could be. They actually could win it. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. We won the week. Dallas Cowboys. They won the week because again, there are no dominant teams in the league right now. There's no dominant quarterbacks in the league in terms of the level that they're playing. So if you have an excellent defense, if you have a quarterback that's playing well, if you're able to run the ball, you got a chance. And they won the week because Philadelphia lost. That's the biggest reason why they won the week. Philadelphia wins that game against San Francisco, the division is over. It would have been over. Even this game coming up wouldn't mean as much. Wouldn't be not like a must win, but wouldn't be as important. Now the division is absolutely in play. Home field advantage in the conference is in play. Now San Francisco has a distinct advantage because they have the tiebreaker over Dallas and Philadelphia. So San Francisco, any one of those three teams could end up with home field advantage. And Detroit, you have Detroit in that mix as well. San Francisco is 7-1 in the conference. Philly 6-1. Dallas is 6-3. So yeah, Detroit 6-2. Looking at the Detroit schedule: Lions, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. It's not easy schedule for Detroit. I don't think Detroit is it. I think it comes down to Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas. Be vying for that top spot, and 49ers schedule is not impossible. Cardinals, Seahawks are reeling right now. Cardinals are the Cardinals. Commanders, those are three wins right there. The Rams and 49ers always battle it, so that'll be a tough game, especially if the Rams are in the mix of the playoffs. They're gonna probably need that game. Ravens, Rams, 49ers are in prime position to get that number 1 seed. The Eagles should get it though with their schedule. They still have 2 games against the Giants, so the Eagles should get it. Should get that number 1 seed, but again, a lot will go. We'll talk about the Dallas game later on. So, but the Cowboys absolutely won the week. I thought won the week. I could have went in a different couple of directions, but I'll flush some of those stories out later in the podcast. The deep dive is the college football playoffs. Of course, we are all set. You're going to have Michigan, Texas, Washington, Michigan versus Alabama. Michigan's the number 1. Alabama's 4. Washington is 2, and Texas is 3. A lot to discuss in regards to this. I want to say, listen, as a Florida State fan, I gotta get this out the way. As a Florida State fan, I'm not disappointed. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. Me saying that makes it seem like I'm not a Florida State fan. I've been anybody that knows me, I've been a Florida State fan going back to when Deion Sanders was playing. That's how far I go back with Florida State. So I am absolutely a lifelong Florida State fan. The reason why I'm not devastated is because I kind of saw this shit coming. And I knew that, and I told you on this podcast, I knew that there was no way that they were going to keep a 12-1 Alabama team, that an SEC champion 12-1 Alabama team wasn't going to make the playoffs. There was no way that would ever happen. I told you Michigan was a lock. The winner of Oregon, Washington, more than likely was going to get in, though I'm not sure about that now, considering how this thing has broken. Maybe Oregon, maybe that wasn't an elimination game. Maybe that was just Washington. If Washington win, they end. Oregon, maybe. What I didn't see is I did not see the Georgia thing. I thought Georgia was a lock, even if they lost. And I'm going to say this right here. Listen, Florida State, you got every right to be pissed off. 13-0 Power 5 conference. You beat quality teams. You managed to salvage your season despite missing your quarterback, who at one point during the season was a Heisman Trophy candidate. Coming into the season, had a very good year. Didn't live quite up to that billing, but still was the conference player of the year and a guy who is the number 1 reason why they, were who they were offensively. So they deserve all the credit in the world for going undefeated and losing him and having to win against, a ranked Louisville team and on the road and in the swamp, which, is not easy, especially in the rivalry game. Deserve a ton of credit. But the bottom line is Alabama 12-1 is better than Florida State is right now. They are. It's just like Alabama is playing as well as any team in the country. So before I get into the genius of the committee, if anyone has a gripe about not making the playoffs, it's Georgia. So you're telling me we're the two-time defending national champions, okay? We've gone undefeated in the SEC in 3 straight regular seasons, right? We've won 29 games, which is an SEC record, okay? We lose to a team that is playing as well as any team in the country by 3 points. And we go from 1 to 6. Like, I don't, again, the Florida State thing has clouded everybody. The real story as far as snub is Georgia. Like Georgia, like Georgia is we're the two-time defending national champions. Period. Like I'm sorry, like Georgia should have been a lock. Like I don't think I don't think I can make a case that I don't think Texas is a better team than Georgia. No, I'm sorry, I don't. Do I think Texas's resume is better than Georgia's? No. And despite the fact that they beat Alabama, Georgia lost to them. But remember, and they beat Alabama in Alabama. So that listen, I'm not trying to get by 10 points. It really wasn't a game, to be honest with you, from that standpoint. They dominated. Texas dominated that game and deserved it. Were clearly a better team. But Georgia went through the SEC. The SEC was down this year, but it wasn't as down as people make it out to be. It wasn't as like LSU. We thought it was going to be better. Tennessee probably thought it was going to be a little better, but there still were about 5 or 6 quality teams in the SEC, and Georgia went through all of them in the regular season. So again, that one baffles me even more so than the Florida State one. To be honest with you, I knew if Alabama won that Florida State possibly could have some issues if Alabama won. And I also thought in the back of my mind as well that the committee may hold the Jordan Travis injury against Florida State. And they absolutely did. So those two things combined, I thought that I'm not surprised that this happened. I'm not shocked. Even at 13-0, if Florida State didn't make this playoff. But again, I thought it would be because of the power of the SEC and the fact that, again, the Jordan Travis injury. I'm going to say this. All the criticism I've been hearing about the committee and about what was Florida State and so on and so on. So let me tell you something. Let me just set this straight. The college football committee, what they did in selecting these teams was absolutely ingenious. And I can't put it nowhere. There's just all there is to it. Let me tell you why. Okay. You have 3 of the top 4 all-time winningest programs in history of college football. Michigan's 1, Alabama is 2, Texas is 3, Texas is 4, Ohio State is 3rd. Right? Okay. Michigan is a brand. Texas is a brand. Alabama is a brand. These are blue blood, like super blue bloods. Not just regular blue bloods. These are super blue bloods. Okay. What's coming in 2024, right? The new SEC. Who's going to be in the new SEC? Oklahoma and Texas. You have a potential for an Alabama-Texas national championship. You have a situation where next season, we're going to have a 12-team playoff. What is a better rollout leading into next year's playoff in the SEC than having Alabama and Texas in the playoffs? I was pissed off at myself for not seeing what obviously was going to happen. If Alabama and Texas were both one-loss teams with conference championships, that there was no way. Maybe even Jordan Travis was healthy, they still would have took these 2 teams. There's too much to pass up on as far as marketing, as far as the money. Listen, the SEC, the SEC absolutely owns college football from the standpoint of not just winning, but moves are dictated. College football moves are dictated by the SEC. That is the power of the SEC. This was politics. This was business more so than just about what happened on the field and or point differential and what have you. They made a business decision. I'll just be straight up with you. And it's ingenious. It's ingenious because I'm talking about it. This was the biggest sports story for about not just 24 hours, for about 72 hours. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Period. You know? You leave out, think about it, you leave out a 13-0 team, and you still arguably get the four best teams in college football. I mean, there's still to be there's a legit. I can make a strong debate that these are the four best teams in college football. It's not preposterous to say that these are the four best teams in football. Like Michigan has been solid all year long, did what they had to do. Alabama's playing better than anybody in college football right now. Washington went undefeated, did what they had to do, and has beaten everybody. I mean, Washington went through the gauntlet of the Pac-12. So there's no question they're deserving of being there. Texas, again, I'm not in love with Texas this year. I don't think the Big 12 is strong, but they went on the road against they went on the road against the dominant program in college football in the last decade and won convincingly. That carries all the weight. And again, they are Texas. They have their own network, the Longhorn Network. Like again, this is bigger than what goes on the field. It really is. The amount of hype, watch those ratings for this college football playoff. Watch them. Watch them. I mean, Alabama, Texas sells itself. Alabama and Michigan. And again, this year, there's no, in past years, it was clear that the SEC was head and shoulders above everybody. It was clear the SEC, along with Clemson, were head and shoulders above everybody, and that was it. It's not the case this year. It's absolutely not the case this year. I mean, it's like any one of these four teams could win it, to be honest with you. I lean towards Alabama, and I would say Alabama and Washington. I'm not Texas. I don't like Texas at all. I never liked Texas in these big games. And again, I've watched enough Washington games. Washington is very good, and they played in a number of close games and won them against big time competition. They beat Oregon twice, and Oregon was very good this year. Oregon had a great season. They beat them twice, both close games and both winnable games for Oregon. But I think Washington is a mentally tough team. I think Washington is much better than what people are going to realize because they haven't probably seen a lot of them because they've been on the West Coast. That Washington team is a big time team, and they deserve respect. But there's no Georgia, there's no Alabama, there's no Clemson that has dominated over the past course of the decade. Those will be your three dominant teams in the last decade: Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. None of those teams are there this year, and that caliber team is not there. Even this Alabama team is not dominant. This is probably the weakest Alabama team that's made the playoffs in a long time. Maybe the weakest in the Nick Saban, probably since 2014 when they got knocked out by Ohio State and Ezekiel Elliott in the first playoff, like almost a decade ago. This is not this Alabama team is talented. They'll get their draft picks. They're not, in comparison to other Alabama teams, they're not a vintage team. This is not anywhere close to being a vintage Alabama team. Now, look, you give Nick Saban credit. They looked awful against Texas. They looked bad in certain games. After that, even they won. I questioned how I thought that after that game that they were going to lose at least maybe at least three games. They circled the wagons. They got together. They fixed the quarterback. They fixed the defense, and they took off. Period. Point blank. So give them all the credit in the world for turning around a season that could have went left, just like Clemson's did, real quick, real fast. But I'm telling you right now, the college football committee was they nailed it. And I'm not talking about picking the right four teams. I'm just talking about all the attention college football has gotten, is going to get, and what they're setting up for their future as far as the new SEC, and next year's college football playoffs, which would be 12 teams. Like you couldn't set up any perfectly. They were playing chess without question. They were playing chess when they made this decision. So it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you think for a second that they're embarrassed by the criticism, they don't give zero fucks about it. Are you kidding me? You think college football is excluded from this era of clout chasing and seeking attention? It's not. I'm telling you, it is absolutely not. They want the attention on their sport. They want us talking about their sport, whether it is in a negative way or positive. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm telling you, it doesn't. I mean, we're not talking about any criminal activity here, nothing like that. We're just talking about, a committee leaving out a 13-0 team and what have you. They're not They're not embarrassed. They're not in the least embarrassed. They're going to be, the college football is going to be laughing all the way to the bank come January 1st and moving forward. It's all college football won this year. You combine this playoff and what happened at the end of the regular season, at the end, last week, with what transpired with Colorado and Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, think about this. Deion Sanders is on the cover of Sports Illustrated on a team that won 4 games. That's how much college football is winning right now. You're talking about coach. The team won 4 fucking games. And again, I'm not knocking it because the number of games won is not even the issue. That's not even, it's not even about that with Colorado and where they were versus with Deion, like the interest and all that. So put that aside. But I'm just telling you, it was a big year for college football. Like it was a huge. This could be one of these seminal years that we're gonna be looking back at. It was like, damn, college football really won this year in a big way. So again, 2 great matchups. From a football standpoint, I expect 2 very close games. The best quarterback, Washington has the best quarterback. Yeah, they have the best quarterback. So I think it has to be. I lean to it. I'm telling you, I could be dead wrong, but I think this might be a year. It might be Washington's year. I watched a lot of Washington. Washington went through that. Like I said, the Pac-12 was a gauntlet this year, and Washington went through it. But we'll see what happens. And the SEC didn't get 2 teams, but the SEC got 2 teams. So they didn't get Georgia, Alabama. Texas will be in the SEC. So it's Texas, Alabama, are basically SEC teams. So that is what it is. Some real thoughts before I let you go. Announcement about programming moving forward is December 5th, right? I have one more live podcast. Okay. One more live podcast. Meaning right now, what you're listening to right now this is me live. This is not pre-recorded. This comes out, it'll come out tomorrow. So technically it is pre-recorded. But next week will be December, which will be December 12th, the day after my birthday. That will be the last kind of semi-live podcast I do of 2023. The rest of the podcast, now again, we will continue to release podcasts over the course of December because we will be wrapping up. We still haven't wrapped up the Snowfall, and the way it's looking right now, we're going to be releasing Snowfall podcasts into at least the middle of January. We'll finish in January. We'll be done in January. I'll be done recording Snowfall podcasts probably this weekend, to be honest with you. But in terms of those podcasts, they're going to be about 5 unreleased Snowfall podcasts that will go into 2024. So they'll still be getting released, but I might sneak in one more podcast in terms of a movie that I wanted to look back on. But so probably in all probably have 1, 2. This one is basically done. About 4 podcasts left that I'll be doing, but this one next week will be the last live one. Taking a little mini sabbatical for the Christmas break. We will come back 2024 better and stronger than ever. And, get a little, refresh, and some reflection time. We've been going again since snowfall started. I started snowfall in July, mid-July, early July. We've been going hard for the better part of July is 5 months with at least 2 podcasts a week. Racy's 2 podcasts a week since August. In some cases a couple times I did 3 with snowfall. So, get some time off. We have some big things planned, of course, for 2024. Now we will also have our best of podcast that will get released as well. The best of 2023 that will be coming out. Try to get that out for January 1st. I'll do my best. We're working on that right now. To be honest with you, some stuff on some ideas in regards to that. But I just want to make that announcement. The last thing, normally I don't give a shit about people's personal life, even amongst celebrities. I generally normally don't, for the most part. But I couldn't help but to talk about this story. Of course, Deion Sanders and Tracey Edmonds, former who of course was married to Babyface back in the day. They broke off their 4-year engagement and went their separate ways, as announced on Instagram through her Instagram account. And seemingly on the surface, seeming like it was like an amicable breakup. That's not even the part I care about. People break up every day. Like that's life. And I could have told you probably after year 2 that they were never going to get married. I mean, 4 years that's a long time for an engagement in your 50s. Both of them, I think, are in there. No, both of them, I know for sure, are in their 50s. Yeah. 4 years, that's a long time. But anyway, I guess the part to me that boggles my mind is just how people, especially even celebrities, feel the need to actually think that this is our business, or to make this our business. Now, in society today, we are so easily distracted. We understand. We know this. We are so easily distracted. It doesn't take anything to distract us. Reality television, social media. So we pay attention to this shit. I'm talking about this right now, of course. But the thing is, I don't understand the need to. It's one thing if you are divorced, you're a public figure, and those records somehow are going to get out. TMZ. Some of those records are public documentation, become public documentation. So that's one thing. But making an announcement, like I don't think we didn't need to know this. How about just breaking up and going about your business? Like for real. And if people want to talk about y'all breaking up, cool, whatever, let them talk about it. The only opinions that matter in regards to Deion Sanders and Tracey Edmonds are Deion Sanders, in regards to their relationship, are Deion Sanders and Tracey Edmonds. Those really are the only opinions, and they're some close, I guess their kids, or close friends that they're that tight with. Excuse me. That's it. I don't know why they feel like that our opinions matter in regards to this. And you can't tell me. Deion Sanders has said your opinion of me doesn't matter. Deion, nah, bro. It kind of does. Because she sent it out, but he responded. I guess he felt the need to respond after she sent it out. So let me put him aside for a second. This is more her. This is her. She sent this out. This was her Instagram. And he kind of, piggyback and said, much love to you, and made a respectful comment towards her. But this was her dropping this. So I guess, again, I never got, I don't think, listen, I don't know Tracey Edmonds. I'm a hole in the wall. She's doing her thing with the film, in the film industry, in terms of producing things, and that means she's doing a lot of big things. She's not just, I know, that idea of Babyface's ex-wife, that might made her famous and noteworthy in terms of of the celebrity entertainment field, but she's very talented. Like that, that Babyface thing was a long time ago. She's extremely talented. Has done a lot of great things in the film industry. So she's winning. So I don't consider her to be a clout chaser per se and do stuff for attention, but I just don't understand. I'm just not. I don't care if I'm a celebrity or not. I'm just not putting not putting my personal business like that out there from that standpoint. Especially just a breakup. Like, we good. I'm good. You don't need to know that we broke up. Divorce is one thing. That's eventually going to come out. A breakup? Nah, not at all. I mean, it's not impossible to be private in this age. You might think it is. It really is not. It's not. It's not. I'm telling you, it's a choice. I don't think celebrities I don't think they want to be private for the most part. I think for the most part, these celebrities and people in public spaces, public figures, don't want to be private because they feel the need to stay somewhat relevant. They have to put their stuff out there, and we have to know that they exist 24/7. I really think that's the era we're at, unfortunately. Anything else I want to get to before I let you go? I was going to preview. Looking at the list here, I was going to look at week 14. I mean, I guess, listen, in regards to week 14, the two big games, Dallas, Philadelphia, KC, Buffalo. The Dallas, Philadelphia, listen, if Philly wins, the division's over. That's it to me. Dallas wins, Philly's got some that major problems as far as like they could fall, like they can fall to anywhere from 1 to 4 if they mess around, 1 to 3. So that's what that game is going to be about. Again, listen, Dallas is playing better, but the bottom line is Philly has beaten way better superior talent. Dallas hasn't beaten anybody of note that's on this level. So I have to take that into consideration. I'm going to lean towards Philly, despite how poorly they're playing. I'm going to lean towards Philly in this game. And to win a very, very close game. KC Buffalo, I don't have a feel of that game. I'll be honest with you. I have that game. I think it will be a close game. It'll be a very close game, but I really don't have a feel of that game because I think Kansas City's defense is a top defense. Buffalo, I think Kansas City's defense is going to be Buffalo's major problems, but I don't think Kansas City is going to score enough points to like run away. So that would be, you have two close games. I would be shocked if any of these games are decided by more than a touchdown. To be honest with you, I think these are both fourth quarter games. Again, I probably lean towards Philly and Kansas City bouncing back in the win column. And we talked about the NFL MVP rate. NFL MVP again compared to what it has been. Talk about Prescott and Brock Purdy versus Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes it's not the same. It's just not. This is the most wide open NFL MVP race that I've seen in a long time. In a long time. Normally, it's the NFL MVP race is almost wrapped up at this point. You get a sense of who's going to win more than likely. This thing is wide open. I mean, Lamar Jackson could have a hot month and jump back into it and take it. Like it's not. He's like that's how close much together these guys are. Like Jackson's still in the mix. Hurts is definitely still in the mix. Can't let him take him out. And of course you have, and I mean Mahomes can have a big month and jump back in it. Like it's that close. He's got like Purdy and Dak are not that far ahead. They're not light years ahead of strides ahead of the rest of the field. There's not. So the MVP is the NFL MVP is still up in the air without question. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Thank you for listening, joining me. I will see you next time. Again, you will hear from me live again next week. I will be releasing my latest Snowfall episode. It didn't come out earlier this week, but I will be releasing that either Wednesday or Thursday, and you'll get either Wednesday or Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. Have a great rest of the evening. So long.